Well, glory to God. Welcome once again to Power of Faith. I'm Pastor Philip Durr with your family of Faith Victory Church right here in the capital city of Frankfort, Kentucky. And just delighted to be able to share with you in the truths of God's Word once again. Luke 1:37 says, with God, nothing is impossible. And I want to welcome you to a special edition of Power of Faith. It's testimony session. And I have two of my spiritual kids in the studio with me, Deonta and Marrisha Simpson. Thank you guys for coming in here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time.
Yes, sir.
You know, testimonies are vital. They're just, a lot of times in Christianity, they're neglected. Or if a testimony is shared, they kind of water it down because they don't want people to understand fully what somebody may have been engaged in. And as I've done these testimonies of our family here, I'm hearing all kinds of different bondages that our people, the devil gets people involved in. And one thing about these testimonies is we be busting the devil right in his mouth, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll start ladies first. Marrisha, where were you born? What kind of family was you raised in?
So I was born in Louisville, Kentucky, right next door.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised. My mom has 6 children.
Okay.
I'm the oldest of all 6.
Oh.
So my mom was a single mom, but yet she was in relationships.
Mm.
I had my own father.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of my brothers and sisters, they shared fathers separately.
Did you have any contact with your father?
I had no. If I went in the store, if I walked down the street, I couldn't point out my father. Like, I knew nothing. I knew not what he looked like.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard about him. He was in the military. He was a drug addict.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much all that was told to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I knew.
So you were raised with a single mom,
Mm-hmm.
with 6 of you all together,
Mm-hmm.
and you're the oldest.
Yes.
So that usually makes for greater responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's your mom doing for work?
So as far as work, she was just job to job,
Mm.
and then, of course, there's help as well.
Mm.
But for the most part, job to job, she did the best she could.
Mm-hmm.
We had our needs met, like needs,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's...
So she had other relationships. When you say that, are you talking about men that came and lived with you all?
Okay, so when I say my siblings had their own fathers, the last man that she was with, as far as my baby brothers and sisters, the last set, I remember that relationship, seeing it, it was toxic.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what it was.
Mm-hmm.
My sister that's right underneath me, and then my brother that's after her, they shared the same father.
Mm-hmm.
Their fathers were in their life, so they knew their fathers. They got to spend time with their fathers. So my sister and brother, they shared the same father, and they would go over there on weekends. He would buy them things, and he would invite me to come and spend time with them as well. So he was welcoming. So I got to experience what it was like to have a father to a degree. So I was able to cheer where I wasn't able to cheer, without a father. That kind of thing. So I was able to do that. I was able to...
When you say cheer, what do you mean, cheerleader?
Yes, be a cheerleader. So you can't really do extracurricular activities or anything fun when your income is limited,
Mm-hmm.
So that's that in a nutshell.
Did you feel cheated?
I did. I felt cheated a lot.
Mm-hmm. What was school like?
School was school. This is in my elementary, because in my elementary season, school was just school. Like innocent, playing Barbie dolls. It was easy. I wasn't excited about school. I just did it because...
Was you good in school?
I was okay.
I was as good as you wanted to be?
I didn't really put a lot of effort into it. But to jump ahead, not jump ahead. my mom eventually met a man that wanted to marry her.
Mm-hmm.
And she kept denying him of marriage. So eventually she told him yes.
Mm-hmm.
He was courting her. They would spend a lot of time together, go to a studio, that kind of thing. And my mom asked us, what do we think of this man? And him coming around, he was a really nice guy. We're able to do more. Again, I'm able to experience what it's like to have a father figure.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're like, yeah, marry him. We like him. We love him. So after they got married, everything that seemed like was beautiful, it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of months after they were married, one day, I know I'm going over a friend's house. And we're waiting for the adult of the friend to come over, their mom to come over and pick us up.
Mm-hmm.
My mom wasn't home at the time. And my brothers and sisters were like hanging out, scattered around the house. I know I can't recall exactly what other sibling was in the room.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember I sat on his lap. I was comfortable. You know, this is dad. You know, this is my daddy now. Because
How old are you at this time?
I'm in the 5th grade. So probably 10, not around that age, you know. So I sat on his lap. Suddenly I don't want to say suddenly, but after a while of sitting on his lap, there's this movement going on. I'm not sitting on his lap in an inappropriate, like if I were to paint a picture, it's not an inappropriate sit. But there's this motion going on. I'd say literally like a minute after that motion was happening, there was a knock at the door. And we go over to the friend's house. And the whole time I'm over there, I can't really enjoy myself. It's my first time going over to these new friends' house. And I can't enjoy myself because the whole time I'm thinking, I'm curious. What was that about? Like,
what just happened?
And I knew it wasn't right, but at the same time, it was like, is that what I think, or am I making that up? Fast forward a couple of weeks later, this was an upstairs, downstairs house. When I was little, all I did was play Barbie dolls. So you would have to call for me to come out. I'm in my room 24/7 playing with dolls. My mom's at work, and I heard my name being called. I come downstairs, and he invited me to the back of the room, their room. So the stairs is in the front of the house. The bedroom is in the back of the house. And he invites me in the room. He goes in the closet, and he pulls out these tapes. And he goes, "You're growing up. You need to know what's out there. You need to know what's going on." Da-da-da-da-da. He puts the tapes in, and it's pornography.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. So this is your introduction to hell.
Yes.
So what does it scare you? Does it intrigue you, or both?
So honestly, I'm shocked. I didn't know that certain parts of the body did that, you know? So I'm shocked. From looking at that, next thing you know, I'm in the position of a married woman. Now, thank God there was no penetration, if you allow me to say that. But I'm in that position. After it was over, I didn't know what to do. I kept it to myself. I didn't say anything to nobody. I didn't say anything.
Who's gonna believe you anyways?
Exactly. So I kept it to myself. I didn't say nothing to none of my sisters, brothers, mama, nothing. Mama's finally happy. You know, this seemed like a good thing going.
Is that the only time that happened?
No, it kept going. So it would happen sporadically. And when it would happen, it was like I just knew to just go with it. Like, don't fight, just let it happen, let it be. And it'll just be, and it'll be done. And like I said, every time, so like I said in the first time, there was no penetration. So every time there was never any actual penetration. It's just.
Thank God for that.
Yes.
So, does your family ever go to church or anything like that?
Okay, so before this case that I just put out, we went to church sporadically. And then there were seasons where we were going to church faithfully. My grandmother is a pastor. So as long as I've known her, she was a Christian. I couldn't tell you what my grandmother was as a heathen. She was I would tag her as Pentecostal. She prayed all the time. So for a season, I was living with her, and she would instill Christian knowledge into me. John 3:16 is how I learned. That's the first scripture everyone learns. There'd be times when she'd say, there was a time when she told me, I'm going to put you in a bed. And I asked her, can I stay up while she prayed? Because that's what she was going to do. And I still had this vision of her pacing the counters, praying in tongues. So that seed's being planted right there.
Right.
My granny later became a pastor. And when she became a pastor, my mom got involved with her ministry and started doing stuff with the youth. So I have familiarity growing up with God.
Okay. So into your high school days, any drugs, any alcohol?
No, sir.
Any boyfriends?
Yes, sir.
So you started messing around with boys? Playing from that pornography thing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So do you become sexually active?
So I became sexually active at 16. I had met a boy in 7th grade and really liked him, really liked me back. We broke contact. Later on, I got his number. I found his number, reached out to him. And I went over to a cousin's, and I met him there because he lived in a neighborhood, and we hung out the whole night. And then that's when I actually started opening my body. I didn't lose my virginity yet, but I opened myself up to explore more than what I was exposed to personally. And then when I turned 16, that's when I lost my virginity.
So let's put you on hold here.
Yes, sir.
Let's get over here to Deonta, because you all met in high school.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Okay. Deonta, what kind of family was you raised in?
I was raised in a pretty abnormal family. My mom, kind of similar to what she had. I had all my brothers and sisters had their dad. I didn't know my dad. He was out drugs and alcohol. And my older siblings, their dad, I thought he was my dad up until like the 3rd grade.
Okay.
And then my mom, one day, they had like a little argument. And she said, and I wasn't allowed to go with them. And she said, don't worry about that. He's not your dad anyway. And
that crushed you?
It kind of crushed me a little bit, but I just went with it. And then she ended up getting another man. And he eventually became my stepfather. Okay. And he was in the military. He's my little brother's dad, biological dad. And then I would later on, maybe 5th grade, I would meet my biological dad. And like I said, they all had their dad, but my stepfather, he raised us. He was yes sir, no sir. There was no abuse in the house. My mom, she'll tell you she was a little on the wild side. She was fighting. She taught us, she taught us, how to defend yourself and how to. She didn't put up with a lot of stuff. And her, baby's fathers, my older siblings, their dad and her would get into altercations, ruckuses, and I watched her and my sisters and my big brother get into ruckuses physically that I had to, break up. Oh wow! And but as far as my mom and my stepfather, they did what they could. They always had a job. I never seen them.
Somewhat of a family.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was
What was school like?
School, I was a good student. I was trying to be the golden boy. I always liked doing good. I was on the quick recall team in elementary school, and I played basketball in middle school. And all the way through middle school, I played intramural basketball. Played for the middle school team.
Was you any good?
I was in middle school. I wasn't that good. I actually got cut from the team in 6th grade, and I went home crying. And then my stepdad, he actually was like, "It happens, get over it. What are you gonna do about it?" And I got better, started working out. I grew maybe like 5 or 6 inches between 6th grade and the 7th grade.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
It did. And then the coaches, they were real interested, like, "Oh, you done grew," And they seen I was working out, running, doing stuff for my, just building myself up.
Sure.
And into high school, I really developed my game. I really developed in basketball. That was I loved the sport. I was an athlete, student athlete, and I made into high school. I started kind of making just good enough grades just to make sure I can play. That I was eligible.
Right. So, any girlfriends in there?
Yes, sir. I had some girlfriends. I don't ever remember not having a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't sexually active until I was like I was doing things, but not I was still a virgin up until like I was a junior in high school, and I would sneak out of the house and go with friends, and we go party. My mom, for years, they never knew for years.
When you say party, are you talking alcohol, drugs?
I never really got into alcohol, but I like to
smoke some reefer,
and but I didn't get into alcohol until college.
Okay,
and that's another story. That had to do with us.
So are you at the same school, or are you different schools?
My freshman year in high school, we were both at. She's a year younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
My freshman year, I was at another school in Louisville, and me and the basketball coach, we kind of didn't see eye to eye. I had a cousin who played for the other school. He was good. Me and him grew up, real close playing basketball. And basically, I was like, well, I'll go play for this other school. Coach would take me. Me and this coach are going back and forth in class. He was my algebra teacher. And so I ended up transferring to this school, and my sophomore year, she would transfer over too, as well, from another school. And
so when you transferred, do you know each other right off?
No.
So we ended up having the same science class, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought she was pretty. Like, I always thought she was like really, really pretty.
Well, she is.
Yeah. And but I never was the type to like try to go after a girl. I was back in those days, they would call a pretty boy. Like I wore earrings and stuff and thought So one day in class, we were she spilled some type of ink on her pants or something. And I told her, I was like, because I had a job. I was working when I was 16 since I could work. And I said, I'll buy you some new pants. And she I don't know what happened, but she lit up. She's like, you'll buy me some new pants? And I was like, yeah, I'll buy you some new pants. And that was kind of like our first interaction. And she was on the cheerleading team. I was on the basketball team. But it was like she was flirtatious, but it seemed like she was focused on somebody else. And I really wasn't like trying to like go after her. But I would see her, and I was like, she's pretty. It was like she had that striking to me. It was like something about her stood out. And her mom one day would come to the classroom because she was kind of obnoxious. And Marrisha it was like she was trying to get attention. She was funny, but her mom would come, and I was walking out of the class one day for something, and her mom stopped me in the hallway. We didn't know each other. I didn't know her mom.
I was in trouble.
She was getting in trouble about it.
So hang on here, man. We got the pretty girl here, obnoxious and in trouble. What was you doing?
I just wanted attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't know your father. The father that you do have is perverted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go to the same school as my boyfriend. He's 2 years older than me. I'm 16. He's 18.
Mm-hmm.
He's not in school.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wanting attention.
Your life is just like a mess at the moment.
Yes. So I'm wanting I just want attention. Look at me. See me.
Gotcha. Okay.
So her mom stopped me in the hallway, and she was like, Is she acting up in class? And I think I looked at her and I looked at her and I was like, no, she's good. She
lied for me.
I was like, she's
That's
good.
true love right there.
And we at the time, we're not even like communicating with each other. And then one day we went away to a game because the cheerleaders and the basketball players rode together. This is my junior year. And
riding the same bus.
Yes.
And like I said, I always thought she was pretty, and I thought I could do what I wanted. And I seen her get on the bus one day, and she had a cell phone clipped to. I don't know if she was about to pull it out and texting or something, but she had and I went for her phone, just being a boy, and she like cussed me out. and all my teammates, they were like, oh, boys are gonna hype it up. They were like, oh, Deonta, you gonna let her talk to you like that?
Yeah.
And at the time, I used to didn't let people get away with stuff like that, but I was just like, Nah, she's all right. Like, I ain't gonna worry about it. And I let her get away with that. And that was our junior year.
Your junior,
And my junior year, her sophomore year. So it would be my senior year when
we actually started our relationship.
So what brought y'all together?
So, like he mentioned, I was very flirtatious. I had a boyfriend, but yet I'm at school flirting with one specific guy. And he's not giving me the attention. So I'm talking loud. And I said, you didn't call me. And he's sitting next to his cousin that he mentioned. Right. And his cousin goes, he would have called you.
Because he knew I had talked about her.
Yeah, okay.
And he was like, Deonta, in other words, I ain't going to say what but he said, Deonta would have called you. He was like, he would have called you. And she looked up and she said,
I said, so you would have called me? And then I went over there and I put my number on his hand. And so he called me.
So Jesus ain't on the scene.
No, not
at all at this point, right?
He is actually.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to church in this season. While I'm being flirtatious, have a boyfriend, I'm actually going to church with a cousin, a family member. And they would pick me up every week to go to church. I was enjoying it. We had youth groups. I would go feed the city, basically where you knock on doors in poverty neighborhoods and you come to the park, the playground, and we'll pass you a brown bag full of food and you eat, that kind of thing. So I am active in church while all of this is going on.
Okay. So you guys become an item and I'm assuming you become sexually involved.
We kind of waited. She held off on she held off on me, but
because of church?
Because of church, and not only that, although I was sexually active, I still had respect for myself. I wasn't just doing it just because, yes, I was still careful in that area. So I just was like, if he really liked me for me, then like me for me. Like, I knew in the back of my head I would eventually go there. It's just not right away. So
you guys become high school sweethearts.
Yes, sir.
You graduate a year ahead of her, right?
Yes, sir.
So what are you doing after you get out of high school?
I went to college here in Frankfurt at Kentucky State.
And she's still in Louisville.
Yes, sir.
But you guys are still maintaining a relationship.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And so when you graduate, what do you do?
So my senior year was crazy. Our relationship was rocky, of course, long distance. He's in college. It's a whole new world. No parents, to
guide you.
You grown. So it was kind of rocky. What was your question? I'm sorry.
Well, what did you do after you got out of high school?
That's when I got born again, actually. But that leads into him being born again first, and then he leads me to the Lord. So I get saved right after high school.
Okay. So our time is running out. We'll have to get into this in the next session. Both of you growing up in Louisville.
Yes, sir.
And, you said something, Deonta, when I asked you about how you was raised. You said it was pretty normal. But what you described is not normal. See, it's getting so widely accepted, single parent. I mean, you guys, we'll get into it in the next session. You got 4 beautiful sons, and now that's a family.
Yes, sir.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
But it's astounding how God directs us in our confusion, in our desires. He knows how to, if we're willing, and sometimes we don't know that we're willing. We are searching. Was there any time in those high school years that you asked God to help you, or it was just go to church? Did you go to church?
I was we were kind of just go on holidays and But I would definitely ask God to help. Like when it came to basketball, like because our coach, he taught us how to pray, and that's how I really.
Your coach taught you how to pray.
He
he
taught
had
us
prayer.
the basics. He had prayer, and at the team, he would after practice, we'd lock up. And
Wow.
He'd have us pray. He'd have different ones of us pray.
Yeah.
And he didn't care if you didn't believe.
Yeah.
He'd still, if you was on his team, you was gonna pray.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you all for getting us this far. We're going to get you all the way saved in tomorrow's session. Listen, those of you that are watching, no matter how you were brought up, Risha's been very candid about being violated as a child. There is life after violation, but you're going to find it in Jesus. At the bottom of the screen is our helpline. It's there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. People that are qualified to pray with you and for you, no matter what your situation is, it's there for you. Pick up that phone and call and get on with your life. Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 4 says, where the word of a king is, there is power. Be a blessing.
Power of Faith programs are available on YouTube 24/7, so you can watch from anywhere at any time. Search for Power of Faith on YouTube or go to youtube.com/Power of Faith. Subscribe and click the bell to make sure you're notified whenever new episodes are posted. If you missed the episode, or you just want to go back and watch it over and over again, the Power of Faith YouTube channel is there for you.